Okay, for this galaxy log, our first galaxy, we're going to head into Leo Minor. It's actually on the border of Leo Minor and Lynx, and the galaxy is called NGC 2859. Here it is. And like I said, it's pretty easy star hoppy. There's Alpha Lynx right here, on the border of Lynx and Leo Minor is right here, and you have these two fairly bright stars that you can see in your finder scope if you don't have a go-to. They're around 7.5 magnitude or so. And here's the galaxy. And if we do the near view image, here it is. Here's the galaxy log date. It was March 7th. Here's the particulars of its galaxy. It's just almost 11th magnitude, low surface brightness. And there's a reason for, I'll explain why the surface brightness is so low here in a minute. Decent size. Here's the distance. I used the 12-inch f4 with a 6mm eyepiece, gave me 200 power. Sky conditions were actually really good. Scene was really good. The transparency was pretty good too. So it was a really good night. But the first thing, here's these two 7.5 magnitude stars or so, and the first thing you'll notice of the galaxy itself, it's a very bright core, and the reason is because supposedly there's a supermassive black hole with a mass of like 100 million suns. So that's why it's a very active central region of the galaxy or nuclei. This night I was able to, the nucleus stood out very, very bright. Even with a smaller telescope, you'll notice the galaxy central core or nucleus. It'll look like a dimmer fuzzy star. But if you pump the power up a little bit, you'll be able to see a little more. In fact, I wish I actually pumped the power up a little more than 200. But this gave a pretty darn good view. It's funny because when you look at the galaxy with direct vision, because the nucleus is so bright, it kind of gives you that blinking nebula, like the blinking nebula in Cygnus. Kind of gives you that effect a little bit. And if you use averted vision, you'll see more of the outer disk of the galaxy. Now, there is another outer ring of this galaxy that's very faint that I could not see visually with this telescope. Maybe from a darker sky, I don't know, but I couldn't. But I could make out a very vivid, bright stellar nucleus and this faint inner region here that had some structure to it. But like I said, when I look back at it, I wish I pumped the power up a little more. The galaxy this region of the galaxy, it's part of the galaxy, can really take magnification. So, but yeah, I highly recommend. It's an easy, like I said, it's an easy find. Just go from Alpha Lynx and find these two 7.5 or 7 magnitude stars here, and the galaxy's right there. Even with a small telescope, like I said, it'll look like a dim fuzzy star in a smaller telescope. In a mid-sized telescope, it really stands out really well. And this, like I said, this inner part of the galaxy, the nucleus in this inner part can withstand a lot of magnification. The challenge will be from darker sites and maybe larger telescopes to see this faint outer ring that it has. Here's a sky survey image of NGC 2859. And as you can see, there's that outer ring that I mentioned in the near view image. And that's the reason why the overall surface brightness is pretty low, nearly 14th magnitude. And though the inner part of the galaxy is bright and stands out very well, as I mentioned, that outer ring being very low surface brightness. So it brings down the overall surface brightness of the galaxy itself. But the ring will be a challenge to see in a good mid-sized telescope from a very dark site, and probably even larger telescopes. So that would be a good challenge to go for to see that outer ring. Okay, our next galaxy, we head into Western Ursa Major, and it's the galaxy NGC 2549. She's right here, not too far from 30 Ursa Majors, and so it's fairly easy to find. And if we bring up the near view image, here it is. Here's the particulars. It's about 11.2 magnitude, high surface brightness, fairly good size in its distance. This time I used on the 12-inch f4 4mm eyepiece. Now it's the 300 magnification. And here's the galaxy. It lies in a really nice star field. You can see it's very elongated, almost directly north and south. And a little stellar nucleus, fairly large central region that was modeled. This was a really nice view. I really enjoyed this galaxy. It looked good at lower magnification, but it was able, with the higher surface brightness, it was able to withstand some magnification. So, you know, at 300, it really looked good. You know, I viewed it also around 200, and it's in a really nice star field. But I thought to bring out some more detail, and because the sky conditions were pretty good that night, or actually really good that night. And you could really push the magnification, and so that's what I did with this, and I was rewarded with a really nice view. The galaxy, like I said, the galaxy extends almost directly north and south, but this galaxy, because it's fairly bright and has a high surface brightness, can be seen in smaller telescopes. But I thought the 12-inch did a really great job on this view. And I really enjoyed this view. Our next galaxy, we stay in Ursa Major, in fact, Western Ursa Major, and it's a really bright galaxy. It's NGC 2768, and here it is. Easy star hop. It's really easy to find if you don't have a go-to. But this galaxy stood out really well. And let's bring up the near view image. And here it is. You see the galaxy is really bright at 9.9 magnitude, has a high surface brightness, good size to it. Here's its distance. With the 12-inch, I used an 8mm eyepiece, which gave me 150 magnification. And unlike the previous galaxy, instead of going north to south, it's going east to west. And it's not as quite as elongated as 2549. Has a larger central core region, stellar nucleus to it, and it was very mottled looking. It was which I thought stood out really well. Lies in a nice star field, and as far as viewing it with a smaller telescope, because it is a bright galaxy and it's fairly large, it's fairly easy to see in a smaller telescope. But yeah, this view I thought with the 8mm, I think I could have used maybe a little higher magnification, but I just thought that it was a large enough galaxy that at 150 magnification, the galaxy stood out well and saw some detail, and it really highlighted with the nice star field. So yeah, this is a good galaxy to go for. Highly recommend it. Okay, for the second night, which was great. This was March was dark window was a great makeup time for this past winter, which was one of the worst winters that I can remember here in the Northeast for observing. between the snow and the clouds. We really got a break here in the March dark window to get out and to observe. So I had that first night, and then I had a follow-up night, very clear night, and this time I took the big gun out. I had the 22, and so first galaxy I went for is I stayed. Western Ursa Major has some really nice galaxies in it, and so we're going to go to the first one here this night with the 22 is NGC 2654, and here it is, and it's an elongated galaxy, and it's here again. You know, this part of the skies is easy to star hop with the brighter stars of Ursa Major, so it's an easy find. And if we go to the near view image, here it is. Here's the date, so it's almost a week later, and here's the particulars of this galaxy. A little brighter than 12th magnitude, you know, fairly high surface brightness. You can see it's very elongated. Here's its distance. With the 22, I used for this view a 6mm eyepiece, gave me 417 magnification. This night also was pretty good transparency. Actually, really good transparency. Seeing was pretty good also. Problem I had though was wind. There was some wind that night, and when you got a big guy like this, they're like a sail in a bit. But I was able to manage and get some really nice views. And this view I thought was terrific. This is a really great galaxy to view. Nice bright stellar nucleus, really neat looking, kind of boxy or a rectangular core to it, very mottled, and you can see it goes from northeast to southwest and extends very, very well, and lies in a nice star field. But you know, this galaxy could have even taken more magnification. But I had, like I said, I had some wind issue a little bit, but here at 417 power, it was a really awesome view. And it doesn't require 22 to see this. This is to be seen in smaller telescopes, but it is neat to look at a bright galaxy in a very large telescope and push magnification a bit and really bring out a lot of photographic detail in what you see here. Okay, next, we're staying in Ursa Major, and like I said, there's a lot of great galaxies in this part of the constellation. And this time, though, we're going to go a little farther out and dimmer, and we're going to go to a trio of galaxies near Lambda Ursa Majoris, and here they are. It's NGC 3202, NGC 3205, and NGC 3207. So if we go to the near view, and here they are. This is the particulars here. They're all around 13, a little dimmer than 13th magnitude, and they're out there. They're over 300, well over 300 million light years away, and it's really a neat group of galaxies. It was easy to find with low magnification. You could see them grouped together. It was pretty neat. But I had the 6mm again in here at 417 power. And it really gave a really nice view of all three galaxies. This is 3202 up here. And 3202 and 3205 kind of look very similar. 32, they round with a fairly bright core area. And here at 3205, it looks very similar. I maybe stood out a little more with 3205. A nice bright core. and a little faint star off the edge here that, you know, can be mistaken for like a supernova, but it's not. It's a field star. It's a foreground star. But you can see they do look very similar, and so that was interesting. Trying to decipher, you could see maybe a little bit different detail, but they were very similar. 3207, I thought actually stood out a little more than the other two, especially in its inner region, its core region. It is a bit brighter, more condensed. It has slight elongation to it, but the whole field here, really, some nice stars in the field, just highlighted the trio of galaxies. But it's pretty neat though, when you're looking at three galaxies like this, and they're all similar distances, and they're over 300 million light years. It kind of blows your mind a bit. But yeah, I thought it was a great trio of galaxies to go for in the big scope. Our final galaxy that I'll describe here for this galaxy log, we actually go just west of the trio we just did, and it's NGC 3198, which is right here. So it's just west of the trio of galaxies we just did, 3202 and 3205 and 3207. And this is a grand, large spiral. And actually, I did a galaxy log last February, using the 8.2 inch reflector. And so what I'll do is I have the near view of both, and we can bring that up. And first we'll do, this is the near view of 3198. This was from last February, a year ago. And this is with the 8.2 f3.9 with a 7mm 116 magnification. It was a good night. I could see some structure in the galaxy, the inner core region, and so on. It was modeled fairly large like that. But if we go to what it looks like through the 22, here we go. Here are the particulars of the galaxy. 10.3, it's fairly low surface brightness, but it is big. It's 30 million light years away. And for this view, I used the 10mm eyepiece, gave me 250 magnification. I could probably push the power in this one also, but I thought this was a nice view. And certainly a lot different than the 8.2 inch. I have no problems with the 8.2 viewing galaxies, but a bit different when you get the 20-inch plus telescope on same object. There's just no comparison. And as you can see here, this is some amazing detail. This is a really great galaxy to go for. It was neat showing you what it looked like through the 8.2, and it can be seen in smaller telescopes. But boy, I tell you, you put this guy with a large telescope, and you really start seeing some detail. And what's interesting, I thought the view through here, through the 22, kind of reminded me of looking at M33, like through the 8.2 inch, though it's a little more inclined. But that kind of like detail where you start teasing out detail with some of the spiral structure and so on. So I thought that was interesting. But here with the 22, you can see there's a bright, fairly large core area, a very faint stellar nucleus to it, and you start really seeing some spiral into it. Here going northeast to southwest, some really nice inner detail, and the galaxy extends really, really well, especially with averted vision. And actually, I want to redo this Galaxy with the 22, hopefully in the next dark window, from a darker sight, and see, and maybe even push the magnification a little more to see some internal structure. But this was one of my favorite views of this dark window. I really enjoyed this Galaxy and highly recommend. And you know, it can be seen fairly easily in a smaller telescope, but boy, to see some of that photographic detail in the 22 was really awesome. So that was probably one of the great highlights of this past dark window. And but as I just said, next in April, I would like to go to a darker site and push the 22 on this thing and seeing what kind of detail. And if I do, I'll put it in Galaxy Log as like a special extra thing like that to show maybe the difference between a good dark site, which I was viewing this night with this object, and showing it from a really dark site, and seeing the difference. And maybe even, like I said, a little bit more magnification. Maybe I'll go over 300 to see what other kind of structure I can see within the Galaxy. But the Galaxy is, like I said, it's a really nice, large spiral galaxy to go for. So that's it for this Galaxy Log. Clear dark skies and happy galaxy observing. This is a summary of this Galaxy Log. First, talk about the dark site. The dark site is about a 30-minute drive north of where I live. It's a pretty good elevation. It's around 1,350-foot elevation in a fairly remote area. And here is a satellite shot taken from Google Earth at night. So it's pretty dark in the area. Telescopes. First was the 12-inch, the 12-inch f4 from Orion Optics UK. Great optics in this telescope. Absolutely wonderful optics in this telescope. And then the 22 is an Astro Systems with Steve Swayze Optics. And I've had this big guy since 1998. I use a 80mm short tube for a finder scope, and it works very well. I'm able to, with the 80mm finder scope, it's a lot easier to use very detailed star charts, especially with fainter stars and tracking down the galaxies. In fact, in many of the brighter galaxies, I can actually see in the 80mm finder. The 10mm is a Pentax 10mm XW, and I used that for NGC 3198 in the 22. For NGC 2768 in the 12-inch, I used a Teleview 8mm Delos. And for NGC 2859 in the 12-inch, NGC 2654 in the 22, and the NGC 3202 trio in the 22, I used a 6mm Delos, Teleview 6mm Delos, great eyepiece. And then for NGC 2549 in the 12-inch, I used a Stellar View 4mm ultra-wide eyepiece.